One interesting proof of the existence of God, or at least proof of the concept that God exists, is in this social phenomenon that people always tend to want to associate themselves to a higher power. And I think it's so innate in humans that everyone wants to associate themselves with a higher power, and it makes you wonder, is that a natural instinct that directs us to the fact that God exists? Like, if you think about every kind of thing in modern day, for example, the reason I thought of this whole topic was because I was thinking about football. Like, as you can see, the West Ham Stadium is behind me. It's a football team in the Premier League in UK, and it's literally a cult. Like, it's literally a religion. Like, they have matches like every Sunday. They, and everyone, when they do the chants, when they have that like kind of group team dynamic, they're all like of one spirit, and that's like it's literally a cult. It's literally people ascribing to a higher power, like, i.e. like a community in which they want to be part of. Because I think identity always comes from a higher power. And so you have to ask yourself, where does your identity come from? And I think that where your identity comes from is who your God is, or what your God is. And some people are monotheists in that their identity is only in one thing, and maybe they're like a pro badminton player, and that's like the majority of their identity. But some people place their identities in many things. They're like polytheists. They have different things that make them who they are. But I think the right way of living life is to put your identity in God. That is the highest way of life. That is the truest way of living life. And it's so interesting because in the Bible it says, seek first the kingdom of God and everything else will be added. And it's like, if you seek God, you're at the top of the pyramid. Whereas if you place your God as, for example, your career or like a hobby or something, you'll only kind of get there. Not to say that's not high. Like, maybe if you become successful, that's a really good thing. But it's like, if you're seeking, it's like the phrase, aim for the moon, if you miss, you hit the stars. It's like, if you aim for the highest thing, which is God, and you place God as your identity, then he will give you every other thing that you want. And it's so interesting because when people place their identity on one thing and they obsess over that one thing and it defines their confidence, then it's actually kind of detrimental, because you place your ego in that one thing, and too much of like focusing on something too much can be bad, because it's like too many cooks spoil the brood. Like, if you try, it's like there's like a Chinese parable my mom used to talk about, where like a guy was drawing a snake and he drew a perfect picture of a snake, but he had so much time left in the exam. Like, let's say this was an art exam, and so after, he was like, why don't I add some legs to it? And the point is, like, trying too hard on something can ruin the very thing that you're trying to perfect. And that's why I think placing God as your identity is the best way to have success in all other areas of life, because you're making God the object of your like creativity and focus, and like at the end of the day, your attention. So then you don't obsess and therefore potentially ruin the other things in life that you actually want to, do well at. But back to the idea that everyone has gods. It's like everyone is seeking a higher power always, and in fact that's what defines existence, I feel like, because if people don't have a higher power, where whatever that may be, for example, it could be an organization they work for, it could be like a reason they live their lives, for example love, for example their family, for example money, just anything higher than them, like a cause that's higher than them. Maybe they have some purpose that they've dedicated their lives to. I think that in itself is an interesting proof that God may be real, because everyone is always trying to attach themselves to something higher than themselves. And so you have to ask yourself where does that come from? Why are humans designed that way? And maybe it's because humans are naturally made to, have a god. Maybe that's the way we're designed, just like, a phone was designed to take calls, and like maybe we were designed a certain way, and this is how we were designed. We were designed to be the servants of a god. Humans were designed to be the servants of a god, and people have to manifest that in some way in this world. Otherwise, you basically lose your like reason to exist. And the truest way of living your life, therefore, is by attaching yourself to the original creator, which was what we were intended to attach ourselves to, which is the God we intended to, attach ourselves to. And everything else, it could make you happy, but it's not true. It's not the realest thing. And if people are really searching for truth, then I think if someone is really searching for truth, then I feel like they will eventually find God, because nothing else will make them happy.